Etepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer, may Buddha bless you, Grand Rising. This is Qesankh Keperu with another video for you. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a powerful altar. But before I get into that, I would like you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you're interested in learning more about my spiritual teachings, you can get any one of my free ebooks. You scroll down below and click on the links. You can download those ebooks today and begin reading. However, if you want to take your knowledge to the next level and beyond, become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. Now, you can cancel at any time. You get exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, on the spiritual. These videos will teach you proper meditation, breathing exercises for health, how to astral project, how to summon spirits or contact the ancestors. There's also self-hypnosis videos to get rid of any bad habits you may have, like smoking or drug addiction. So last but not least, I want you to share this video with family and friends. So, Haru Nefer, how are you? I want to get into a little bit more of the spiritual practice and get down to some mechanics. When I was in priesthood, it required that you do a lot of reading on your own in addition to the classes, and the tests were very, very hard. And a lot of things we were told to do, but never given a rationale as to why it's done this way. So I had to go through a number of books to kind of get the rationale, because in magic, a lot of secrets are kept and they're not readily explained. Some of my studies were on Aleister Crowley, but a lot of things, like I said, were not detailed. So I had to go exploring myself. And this is where your logical brain kicks in, because magic is not necessarily about appeasing the logical brain, although it is very logical. It deals with more esoteric principles that science finds hard to nail down, which is why many people in the science arena don't believe in magic, because they are not abstract thinkers. They're very concrete thinkers. So when you get into the idea of metaphysical studies, it confuses them. They don't understand it. This is why the best they could do is to give you a representation of God as this white bearded man sitting in the clouds, because to them, the abstract thought of a God, which is Amen, the hidden one, was too difficult to grasp. They needed a concrete representation to understand God. And then they took it a step further and made it into a gender. While our ancestors, the ancient Kemetic people, were fine with looking at God as an abstract thing, as also looking at nature and the world around us and understanding that God represents him, herself, and the implicit connection between all things. That there, if you study that, you'll understand that that is the indication of an existence of a higher being. That each and everything serves a purpose to sustain the whole. And if one thing is missing, the whole falls apart. That's a clear indication of an intelligence creating things so that each and everything has a form and a function. Nothing is superfluous, meaning it's made for its own sake, for its own existence. It has nothing in nature is like that. Everything has a purpose. There's a reason why a cow defecates. And when he does, or when she does, it makes the soil more apt to grow vegetation, more fertile. Now, how did that relationship come about like that? Only a divine intelligence could have put together that schematic to make it so. So when we start looking at working our magic as magicians, we need to start asking questions about how our magical tools are an extension of us as divine beings, as gods and goddesses. And these tools serve a purpose. You see, some people who are not schooled in magic will put together an altar and just throw everything on the altar, not understanding that everything on that altar is supposed to serve a purpose toward the larger objective. And if you start mixing energies, you get inconsistent results. So for you magi's out there, I want to break it down for you of how to put together a powerful altar that will save your life. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that, the wandering sage? Do you know? I wish I had known magic when I was in college. I had such a difficult time in college because I was an introvert, an extreme introvert. If you caught me going from class to class and you stopped and said, "Hey, Qesankh," I wouldn't have responded. I was that much introverted. I wanted no contact with anyone. Not that I was like a serious student. I can't say that. But because of the trauma I went through in my upbringing, it caused me to go within, to shield myself from the world because I didn't trust anyone. And when you are an introvert, especially in Western society, especially of a person of color, they can look at you as a danger or a problem. And that's how they started to see me. And for no reason, I began to see how they were picking on me, trying to expel me, get rid of me, because I wasn't socializing with the rest of the students. I wasn't part of the Borg collective. But had I known magic, I could have turned that situation around rather quickly. Had I known magic, business I had started years ago would not have failed. Had I known magic, relationships that I screwed up would have been very successful. Had I known magic, I would be financially better off. Had I known magic back then, all of my dreams would have come true. But I didn't. That's okay. I'm not bitter or upset. I'm just telling you this so that you understand that you have a power that can elevate you to great heights if you tap into it. Now, make no mistake, there's a saying that Bashar uses that tells us that these tools, like a shrine or a wand, are nothing but permission slips. And he's so right. These tools are really, and you learn this in the martial arts that I studied, like a 3-sectional staff, a sword, are just extensions of your hand, or extensions of you. So you learn that the magical instruments that you use, the herbs, the wand, and things of that nature, that the magic is not within the tool itself, the magic is within you. But because you are an initiate starting out, it's very difficult for you to believe that you possess such magic and such power. So you need these tools to allow your Sebek faculty, that's the faculty of logic, to believe in itself. And by using these tools, you're giving yourself permission, hence permission slip, to exercise your magical abilities. But in reality, what I practice and what I teach is that you don't need them. You really don't, because the magic is within you. Because when you graduate to higher levels, you start understanding things a lot better. The magical tools you can use right now and have phenomenal effects. Or you can fast, recite the mantra, focus your thoughts, cultivate the chi energy, and then move mountains. You understand? You are the magic. What did Timac or Bruce Leroy discover at the end of The Last Dragon when he went searching for a master? That he was the master. And you will go on this same journey and realize that those magical instruments aren't needed. And there's nothing wrong with using them in the very beginning. In fact, I highly advise it so that you can see the miraculous results. But when you get into a pinch, when you get at that crossroad, and you're somewhere far from home, you're not going to be able to tap into your shrine, your magical wand, that recording of the mantra. So what do? You learn to use the magic that's within you. That's what you do. You learn to tap into the power that is within you. Some people actually freak out. Oh, I don't have my magical wand. What was that mantra? And they get stuck and don't know how to move forward. This is why I train you so much on what some refer to as reality manifestation, the law of attraction, or what have you. Because in the end, it doesn't require any tools and it will save you. But you have to work it. Same with the altar. You have to practice and build that muscle. It's like going to the gym. The more you go, the stronger you become. So whether you work with the power within on altar, you still need to do the work. You're not going to be able to just recite a spell or an incantation and have the magic work the first time. If you're lucky and you're born into this incarnation with the memory of your past life in ancient Egypt, Kemet, then maybe you can do that. But until then, I want you to understand how to put together an altar to deal with the situations that are going on within your life. And remember, there is a connection between you and that altar, that the altar is meaningless without you. Just because you fashion it, don't expect that results will just pop up out of thin air. It is intrinsically tied to you. And the effects you produce are intrinsically tied to the mantra. So what I want to do is go over the tools you'll need for the altar. The altar. And these are not expensive things you have to go out shopping or order from Africa and wait for it to be shipped via boat and all that. Very simple stuff that you can get, and rather quickly. Now, before we set up this altar, we have to keep in mind that we have to have a safe space. We want a space that has been cleansed. Using bleach, water, soap, and just cleaning the area thoroughly will help. And then if you have an opportunity, if you have some sage, just to clear out that area of negative energy. Now, where you place the altar in your house will depend upon what your objective is. And your objective will, and the deity that the altar will be dedicated to will be dependent upon your objective, because you're petitioning a deity or energy for a particular result. So if I want money, I will petition Ma'at. If I want love, I may petition Hedaru. If I want that IT job, I'll petition Sebek. If I want that job as a police officer or a detective or what have you, I'll petition Harukahuti and Sebek. If I want that job as a train conductor or what have you, I petition Sekert. If I want that acting gig, that role in that film, I'll petition Hedaru. If I want that management job, I'll petition Horus. So keep that in mind, that the altar should be dedicated to the one deity that can give you the thing that you desire. That is very important and the first step. Because just arbitrarily setting up an altar and throwing things on there won't give you any results. Well, if you're talking about love of a specific person, it's going back to what I said before, that would actually be Hedaru. If you're talking about in terms of love, yeah, Hedaru. Now, if you're talking about control and manipulation and domination, you may need to see Sekert and Sebek. All right, so let us go through these tools you'll need for your altar. And then we'll get into the details of why it works, how it works. Because I think it's very important to just not put things on the altar without a really good understanding of what it's doing. Because that will basically solidify your faith and belief and make the magic work. Okay? Now, I have several altars in my house, each dedicated to a different deity, each dedicated to a different objective. And I work with all of them. The main thing that you need to understand is always one altar that you should keep no matter what, that should be erected no matter what, that should be there no matter what. And that is Sebek, who is also, I think, sometimes is known as a nudist. And he is known as the opening of the way. Whatever it is you desire, Sebek opens the way to that thing. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to grant it. He just clears the path for you. And that's the one altar that you want to keep. And you want to keep that altar by the door, because the door is the symbol of opening of the way. So by my front door, if you were to come in, you would see an altar of Sebek sitting right there. And everybody that comes in knows that they must greet Sebek. There's a greeting I have for everyone that walks in the door. And, you know, I've actually decorated my place in such a way that people love coming to my place. You should hear like the comments I get when people walk in. They love it because they always commenting on the different things I have there, because I have a lot of eclectic things in different places, to where you may come in the first time to visit me, but the second time you're discovering more things and more things. And you know, when I did the decorating, I was a little nervous as to how people would perceive it. And they really had a very positive response to it. In fact, I have my maid, and she comes twice a month. It's her and her daughter to do the cleaning. And I thought that she would refuse to clean it, because I had some really, you know, weird things. Like I thought she would be taken aback by the many shrines or the many altars, that she wouldn't like it. And then her daughter once came to me, because her mother only speaks Spanish, and asked me if I wanted them to clean the shrines. And I said, "Oh no, you can leave those. Don't clean them. Don't clean them." So I was really happy that it didn't freak them out, you know, because some people will be like, "Oh, you into that black magic stuff, you know, the magical stuff, you know." Well, but usually, you know, when we talk about our Latino brothers and sisters, they're very hip and understanding, because they come from, a lot of them come back from a background not just of Catholicism, but of Santeria. So they understand an altar. They know what an altar is. You know, but other people sometimes may look at it and like, I don't know about you, you know. I actually had that one happen one time in my previous apartment. But, you know, I made sure to do it right this time. So when people come in, there's not only the altar, but there's other things they can look around and see, and they can like tell I'm going for an overall theme. So they don't become afraid or be taken aback by it. They actually like it. When I went to the hospital, the paramedics came over, and he's like, I'm sitting there not feeling good and all that. And he goes, "Oh my God, look at this, look at this." And he's telling his partner this, and they're like getting really like, awed by what they see, which is cool. You know, it's a conversation starter, you know. So it's important. And I wanted to do that because I thought it's important to make your place comfortable and reflect you and be an extension of you. You know what I mean? It's like your name. I had told family members, friends, not to call me by my Western name, but to call me by my Kemetic name, Qesankh Ma'a Keperu. Because now that's important now as a magician, as someone who is striving for power, because your name is a mantra. You understand? And that mantra, when recited over and over again, gives you power. And there's certain names of people and things that if you know their name, you have power over them. Which is why sometimes those names are kept secret. You understand? But I digress. Haru, I think I just answered your question. Hawkeye, absolutely, of course. Yes, of course. That's what their job is. All right. So, yeah, that's what they're there for. And also angels, spirits, you can create or summon the spirit for protection. Okay. I have one deity in particular that she protects me. And I give her offerings for that protection. But she must be in the right. You can't go off doing evil and expect the deity to protect you. Now, a spirit will protect you, even if you're doing evil, because there are many, many spirits. And the angel, an angelic force, will not protect you if you're doing evil. So let's get into this. Are we ready? Ready? Y'all ready? Okay, before we get into this, please hit the like button on this video and donate to the channel. Your donation would be greatly appreciated. So please donate to the channel. All right. So we talked about setting up the altar. We talked about cleaning the space, getting some sage. Now, you'll need to have an altar table, of course, and a cloth over it. That color of that cloth should correspond to the deity that you're petitioning. Okay, like Ma'at, if I'm petitioning Ma'at for wealth, I need a blue cloth, all right? Oser, I need a white cloth. Sekert, I need a black cloth. Okay, so please keep that in mind. You have to have the right colors. Now, the spiritual direction that the altar is facing will depend on a different deity. So if I'm going to petition Sekert, it has to be in the west. That's where the energy is. Now, one word of warning that I realized this when I had a spirit come into my apartment years and years ago. Your dark deceased beings can come into your place if the four corners of your apartment or room is not clean. If you notice that there's dust balls or dust bunnies in the corners, that's ripe for a dark deceased being to come in. Because I went to touch something that was in the corner section, and a bright light hit me, and a spark pushed me away, and I was like, "Whoa!" Kind of hurt a bit too. So you got to be very, very careful. Clean those corners, or else you're going to get the negative energy will amass there. Okay, so the first thing you want on your altar is a representation of the four elements: earth, air, fire, water. Of course, when I have my altar, I put a glass of water for the deity. They can drink that. Or you may want to, like if it's on Set or Isis, you can put a glass of milk. She likes that. For the fire, you can have the candle. So you get my point? So you want a representation of the four elements on the altar. The next is you want a statue of the deity. That's very important. A statue or a picture will do. Like here is Tahuti. So you want to put this on your altar facing you. Very, very important. Make sure it's cleaned, or I should say cleansed. Then you want incense. The incense should correspond to the deity. Each deity likes a different incense. To find out, you can get the Maduna Ter Volume 1, which gives you all of the deities, what they like in terms of food and things that should be put on the altar. The next thing, of course, is at least 2 candles. The color of the candle depends on the deity. Again, Sekert is black candles. Ma'at is blue candles. Oser is white candles. Hedaru, you can use yellow. Okay. The next thing you want is an offering. An offering could be basically, and here's the key to an offering. It's kind of tricky in a way, very tricky. An offering, it can be a plate of food for the deity. In ancient Egypt, Kemet, when you died, they would give you things to take to the other side. They would give you beer, wine that you could take to the other side and drink. So it's the same thing here on the altar. The deity likes certain foods. So you'll put those on the altar. As I said, you may want to put milk for Oset and some cooked rice, white rice for Oset. Give her some white rice. She'll like that. For Sebek, give him some popcorn. Go get some candy. He likes candy. Put the candy on the altar for him. You know. Hedaru, she likes mangoes. Give her a mango. You know. Now, what I typically do is to make it more effective. Listen to me closely. To make it more effective, when I'm cooking for myself, I try to give a portion of what I'm cooking for myself to the deity. One second. I don't know what that is. Sorry, the phone's ringing. I try to give a portion to the deity. And the reason being is because you may be cooking for yourself and you may not have a lot for yourself. Then that's the tricky part, because if you give to the deity and you don't have a lot of food for yourself, the deity recognizes that sacrifice that you're making. And that's a good thing. Or if I'm shopping, I'll make sure I get stuff for the deity, food for the deity. Okay? So make sure you're sending things out. The foods that the deity likes. The next thing is your magical wand. I have a magical wand and I always place it on my altar. And there's so many different types of magical wands. You can order them from online. Get the wand that you feel comfortable with. And it's an old saying, but it's true. It says the wand chooses the magician. The next thing is important is crystals. Now, the crystals that I use are quartz crystals that have been magically charged by myself, meaning that I've sat down, I focus on the mantra, I focus on the visualization of what I want. I've held the crystals in my hand. And I've recited the mantra, so I've charged the crystal, and I put the crystals on the altar. And I'm going to tell you how that works. because there's a relationship between the crystal and the wand, and the next one, which is the herbs. You have to buy specific herbs that correspond to the deity. I recommend buying as much as possible. Buy fresh herbs, because the energy when you get fresh herbs is very potent. The next thing is a sigil. If you don't know what a sigil is, you'll have to Google it. A sigil, which corresponds to the object of what you want. So if I'm looking to attract love, then there's a sigil for love. If I'm looking to purchase a home, you can create a sigil that will attract a home. If I'm looking to do or get a better job, there's a sigil to get a better job. The next thing is really, really important. You need a representation, a symbolic representation of the thing that you want. This aligns with the Hermetic laws of Hermes, as above, so below. So if you're looking to attract a lot of money, then you want to put on your altar maybe $5, $10 on the altar, because as above, so below. Because in the ether, if you match the frequency of money in the ether, then you'll have it in the physical world. So if your altar contains money, is resonating at that same frequency, and it will attract it in the ether, which consequently will permeate from the ether into this fourth dimensional reality and bring you more money. Okay. Now, this last one is optional. You don't have to do it, but it's a sacrifice. Now, immediately, when someone says sacrifice, you're thinking you're going to cut open a cow or something. I'm not talking about that, an animal sacrifice. Let's say, for example, I want to quit smoking. I can take whatever packs of cigarettes I have left, and I can actually just put them on the altar and say, I give up. I'm giving these up. I mean, that's a crude example, but you know what I mean? If I want to move on to, if I want to get rid of my Latina wife because she got too much fire and spiciness because she wants to fight all the time and beat me up. Hypothetically, of course. I can delete her number, for example, out of my phone, write her number down on a piece of paper, put it on the altar, and then burn it. So I'll never have it again. I can never call her. You know, again, another crude example, but that's just an idea of a sacrifice. But you get the picture. Now, it's not necessary. It's optional. Now, with the altar, what you are trying to create, and I talked about before, the offering, the wand, and the crystals. No, I'm sorry. The wand, the crystals, and the herbs. The wand, crystal, and herbs. Those will help. Those will help create an electromagnetic field. And that electromagnetic field, when it's impregnated with your thoughts, it goes to work to make them manifest. Because that electromagnetic field is resonating at the frequency of a particular deity, faculty. Because if everything corresponds to Heteru on that altar, it creates the same frequency or electromagnetic field as the deity. So when you think about something or recite our mantra while you're visualizing what you want, it impregnates that field, and that field will now manifest what you want. I hope I explained that correctly so you understand. Now, I haven't gone over the details of how to perform a ritual. That's another video. That's a whole different thing. I'm just giving you the things you need to place on the altar for now. And these are the very basic things. There's more, but those are just icing on the cake. These are the essential things you want to include on the altar. Now, never let dust accumulate. Never let the food that you put down as an offering go stale. Keep everything fresh and clean on the altar. Very important. Don't let cobwebs start to form, and then, oh, that's a mess. You're going to have bad luck, as we call it, bad luck. You don't want to do that. Believe me, it'll cost you dearly. Now, when you're doing your rituals, you'll be doing things like meditating in front of the altar, communicating with the deity, asking for the thing that you desire, giving a sacrifice. You know, I will sacrifice. Sometimes if I'm working on something, I will put my blood on the altar because I'm performing an intense ritual, you see. So that's, but you don't have to do that. I'm just getting into the deeper elements of this. I may grab my Latina girlfriend and throw her on the altar as a sacrifice. Okay, I'm just kidding. Here, she's yours. She's too combative for me, you know. Okay, I jest. So you get the idea. And the one thing why I like putting together the altars, because, you know, my aunt is Hathor, means I'm very creative. She's given me the faculty of creativity. And you can be creative with your altar. You can put on, for example, the altar for a set, you can put Mary, the Virgin Mary, on there if you want, because it corresponds to the same energy. If you are a policeman or something, on your altar to Harukuhuti, you can put your gun, your badge, what have you. It's the same, it's the same matching energy. So keep that in mind. Now, don't underestimate the power of what you're doing now, because if done correctly, there have been instances where I've seen that when just putting the altar together in the right way can produce results, which is wonderful. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of doing this. Now, there's nothing I've told you to do that should attract a dark deceased or a demon. And if you do perchance attract one, you did something seriously wrong. Because nothing here would attract a dark deceased being or a demon. So keep that in mind. Now, typically, those who do attract a demon or a dark deceased being is because they themselves are very dark. They have very negative thoughts. So the entity is attracted to them and not the altar. So keep that in mind. So determine what your objective is. Go to the Madhunater, Volume 1. Go to the back. Research the deity that governs the thing that you want, and then start working on putting together the altar. But remember, the very first altar you want to have to get you started is Sebek, and that altar should be by your door. Could be by your living room door, your front door, not your bedroom door, because Sebek is very talkative. And if you put him at your bedroom door when you're trying to sleep, you might find yourself wanting to talk and communicate and call people up or talk to your mate, and you won't be able to shut up when you should be sleeping. So keep that in mind. Very important, because Sebek makes you want to talk, because Sebek is about communication, and he's a good orator. So if you're bringing that energy in, you're going to be wanting to talk. You're going to be wanting to laugh. So just be careful. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I've got a conference call I've got to get to. I'm running late. And again, remember, hit the like button, donate to the channel if you're in a position to do so. This is Qesankh Ma'at Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tehuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until the next video, I'm in the Ra.